Well, welcome back to A&A Diversified. Today we're back on the Honda Accord. The last video we did on the Honda, we had a noise and I flushed the power steering pump out. It kind of went away. Well, the noise is back, and it's got a whine when the car runs. Kind of got a whine coming from it. Couldn't tell if it was the power steering pump or the alternator, because the bearings do go out. So I got my little stethoscope. Did determine it was the power steering pump. So today, and you have to forgive me for the mess, I got to spend a day cleaning this place up, but today, the power steering pump, we're going to add a power steering fluid cooler to the car. It does not currently have one. We're going to put a new reservoir on it, and we got some fluid. So let's get started. All right, first things first, if we are going to be adding the power steering fluid cooler, we'll have to take this plastic cover off to be able to, because we have to locate it in front here where the airflow is. So you've got your radiator, you've got your AC condenser coils. It's got to go in front of all that. So step one is going to be to get this plastic part removed, and then I'll show you on the hoses how the fluid runs, how we're going to put this cooler in line. So let's get this off first. So remove this cover. I've got a couple of pry tools here. These little plastic panel fasteners are all pretty much new, because I replaced them all the last time we had this off, because they do rot. As soon as you try to take one off, it breaks. So most of these are new, so they should come off pretty easy. Okay, now we have access to the front here in front of our air conditioning condenser, where we're going to put our power steering cooler. Let me get you in here just a little closer. So if you look, power steering pump, power steering reservoir, you have one line, that's a suction line, that feeds your power steering pump, which then pressurizes the fluid that goes into your rack and pinion for your steering. So the return line from your rack and pinion, it's a hard line, and then it turns into a soft line with a hose clamp, because this is no longer under pressure. This is just fluid being returned from the power steering rack and pinion. So here is where we want to tie in our power steering fluid cooler. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to delete on this line. It comes back up and goes back into our power steering reservoir. So we're going to delete this line. We're going to hook a hose onto this, run it to our power steering fluid cooler. From our power steering fluid cooler, we're then going to hook to there. Honda does put power steering fluid coolers on these cars. This one doesn't have one, but their cooler is basically, they take that hard line and they continue it into a longer loop, and they'll loop it in front of here, then go back to a soft line. But what we've got is it's more like a cooler that you would think of, more like a radiator type of cooler with the cooling fins on it. So this is what we're going to put in there, and so the fluid will make the loop. These fins will hopefully help cool that off. The purpose of putting a fluid cooler, well, it's like anything else. You have a transmission fluid cooler, you have a power steering fluid cooler. It helps to cool the component off that's doing the work. In this case, it's the power steering pump. Heat is what kills it. This helps cool the fluid off, helps your pump last longer. So if you'll remember, that power steering pump that's on the engine came with the engine from JDM. And we won't get into that story. The return line I showed you going to the reservoir from the racket pinion, I just got a vice grip, needle nose vice grip. I'm pitching that hose closed because when I take it loose from the hard line, it's probably going to be a little fluid come out. So pinched it closed. I got some shop towels ready, but first I got to loosen the clamp. Loosen this clamp here. Got this hose clamp down here loosened. See if I can't yeah. Kind of came apart on me, so now I'm ready to pull the hose off that pipe. I just don't know how much fluid's going to come out with it, but not a whole lot. I can't prop this out of the way right here. Alright, not a whole lot. Now I can get the rest of that factory clamp off and drop it. These little things are supposed to go through the radiator to help, you know, fasten it, and I can never figure these things out. I can never get them to work. So anyway, we'll see. May have to do some zip ties or something because I don't know how that's going to work exactly. Anyway, we'll figure out something because I don't want to take these cooling fans loose, try to get those plastic ties through, and then you have to go through the radiator and the air conditioning condenser. So we may opt to zip tie it to something else. We're going to tighten this up. Okay, so we have our cooler, we have our line, and so let's make this top one go into our reservoir here. So let's see about how much of this line it's going to take. It's probably going to take about half. That'll leave the other half. I say we're going to go ahead and cut this hose in half. The hose clamps it comes with, you're going to need a 6mm to tighten them. And don't over tighten them because you can strip these little small hose clamps out pretty quick. Now, two, remember, this is on the return hose, so there's not going to be any high pressure on this. So when you're tightening these clamps, you know, go easy on them. All right. Now we just got to figure out. Let's put this up here for now. Just got to figure out where we're going to put this thing. There's plenty of room to take these hoses and run them into your engine compartment from the front. We're not going to connect them right now. We just want to get this cooler where it'll be approximately. There's no rules when it comes to this because we're adding this after the fact. There's no factory brackets for it. And as long as it's where it can get good airflow. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe a little higher. Maybe up here where it can get some good airflow up here from the top. Let's see. Kind of thinking like right here, and I can run some zip ties to hold this end here, and this end is held by the hoses itself, and I can run a zip tie off of this horn bracket right here, hold this end. Would get good airflow. It would definitely help cool. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So let me get one of my heavy zip ties, and I say we do that. Jiggling around and bumping anything. So what I may do is I'm gonna put one up top, hold it from the top, and then I'm gonna run one down to the bottom of the AC. Well, it's not the AC condenser, but it's what the AC condenser is resting in. There's another hole in it down there. I can hold it from a zip tie up top, and then one from the bottom. Keeps it from flapping around. I actually like this idea better than fastening it directly to the AC condenser, because I don't want to get it pinched up against something hot, which is what that would be. So I think this way it'll get nice, good airflow. It's bound to keep the power steering fluid cooler. Cut that off. Let's see. I just had smaller hands and smaller fingers. Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. It's gonna work really well, I think. So there's my cooler. I've got a zip tie coming from the bottom of this support right here. Got the little hole in there. So I got a zip tie holding on to the bottom. And then I got a zip tie from the top wrapped around this little horn bracket right here. That's not going to hit anything. You're not going to hear it. It's not going to flap. And it's not up against the AC condenser. I like that. I like the airflow. So what we're after. Now, next step is we'll take this top hose that's on my cooler, and I'm going to replace it right here to my reservoir. Then the other hose, the lower hose, is going to attach back to that hard line coming from my rack and pinion. Okay, you're not going to be able to be in there with me while I do that. There's no room. So let me get that done, and then I'll get you back. Let's get this hose off. Another paper towel. Definitely don't want to get power steering fluid on that belt. You'll never get it to stop squeaking. Get my vice grip on the right side of that air conditioning hose. Should be able to just pull the whole thing out. Alright, yeah, without too bad of a mess. Yeah, I got to get that serpentine belt loose, don't I? Didn't even think about that. That's a 14 millimeter on your belt tensioner. Slip it right off the power steering pump. Now the power steering pump, which I think is a 12. Yeah, it's a 12. See if we can't get, yeah, it's 2 bolts. Okay, there went that. Might never see that again. Alright, now that we've spent 45 minutes looking for the tools we dropped, let's see if we can go ahead and get this power steering pump off. My hands have gotten greasy and can't get a grip, so I'll get my cordless ratchet. Whatever you do, don't drop that bolt. It'll take 45 minutes to find it. And it doesn't hit the ground. Ricochets off the frame, could go inside the frame, could go inside the plastic shield, all kinds of fun stuff. So, all right, let's pull this, should go straight up. All right, let's get it over here out of the way. Nice brand new pump here. Should go right where the old one went. It better not give me any trouble either. If something is not fitting correctly, something is not fitting correctly. What's the problem here? Pulley is too far inset. This is what you run into, even though it's a K24A engine. All the parts are not interchangeable when it comes to this stuff. This is not the same power steering pump. It's not. I'm gonna see if I can't figure out what the problem is. Line the pulleys up. Yeah, that's alright, so it's gotta go like that. Yeah, that's not the same pump at all. Not at all. Well, it's back to the old drawing board. This one doesn't have a. Here we go. Alright, so I've got a number. I'm gonna have to see if I can't cross that. Because there's apparently several different power steering pumps, and this engine I got from JDM, the car is a 2006. That engine is not a 2006. It's either 2007, 2008. So that's my issue. I'm gonna have to try to use this number to cross-reference because this one lines up, the new one does not. All right, let me see if I can find a part that actually fits. Okay, we have what they call one of them dilemmas. This power steering pump, which is what was on the car, or what was on this JDM engine we got, does have this number on it that doesn't cross-reference with anything, which tells me somebody pulled an Andy Young and needed a power steering pump, so they got on the eBays and got them an inexpensive power steering pump. So now I can't find a power steering pump that'll fit because the car itself is a 2006. The engine that we got from JDM is supposed to be for a 2003 to a 2007 Honda Accord. It is not, because I've tried the power steering pumps for those models and they don't fit. The one I purchased off of Amazon, the one we tried to fit earlier. It was for 2008 to 2012. So this engine came from something other than an Accord, and there's no way to tell what it came out of. It is a K24A. So at this point, the wife wants to drive the car. She needs it to do, women have to go places and stuff. So I'm gonna put the old pump back on, and it whines. Is the problem? It whines, and that's usually, or typically, it's because there's air that's trapped in the pump. But all I know to do is let's go ahead and finish up our cooler, put the new reservoir, attach the lines. Now the line that attaches here, coming, that's actually the return line. No, I'll take that back. The line that attaches here that comes from the reservoir. I'm going to check the O-ring. Sometimes the O-ring will let air in, and that's the point at which it could cause that problem. So let me see what kind of O-rings I've got, and see if we can't reinstall this with hopefully the new fluid and maybe a new O-ring, and see if we can't get it to not whine. All right, so going ahead and finishing up our cooler installation, get the new reservoir. And the smaller line we're not going to need, because that's the new line that's coming off of our cooler. This larger line we will need, because that's the one that's going to go back up here to the pump. Let's go ahead and get our bolts back in this power steering pump, since we are not going to be able to, at this current time, source a new one. So the one I found, it's much fatter than the original, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it to go in there. There's only so much room. I think it went. It's really tight, which is good. I just hope I didn't damage it while I was putting it in there. Oh, that's good and tight. I'm gonna say we try that, because this one is definitely flat. Could be our problem from causing the whining. Anywho, let's go ahead and put a bolt in that, hold it down. Let's see. 10 millimeter. Let me go ahead and get this belt back on, so I don't have to keep working around it. I don't have to keep working around it. Make sure That's not my usual luck. It's on. Okay. So the top line is going to go back to the reservoir right here on this bottom connection, and the hose is a little long, so I'm probably going to trim it just a little. Let's just see about how much we need to trim. I can trim that much off. I don't have my blade. Okay. I'm gonna leave a little extra, but I don't want to leave that much extra because I don't have nowhere to tuck it, put it. So should be able to. That should be. Give it a little bit right there. We're gonna call it good. Get my hose clamp. Now we're going to connect the bottom hose of our cooler to the hard line that's coming off of rack and pinion. I don't need near about this much hose. I'm going to trim this off. And the hose clamp I dropped on the ground earlier, so I'll have to fish that out. Got 1/4 inch, my 6mm, couple of extensions, and then I'll step up to the 3/8 adapter so that I can use my, because there's just no room to be working a ratchet or anything down here. Just got to be careful not over tighten this thing. All right. That is pretty tight. That's probably as tight as I dare get it. Now we need to bleed the system, put some fluid in it, bleed the system. We do that with the, gotta jack the car up, get the 2 front wheels off the ground so we can spin those. We'll put some of these tools up and we'll put some fluid in there. This is a transmission filter, I know, but it's a long reach, so I don't have another filter like that. Let's fill the reservoir up. Now I'm using, it's Tri-X brand. Asian car, Toyota, Honda, Acura. That's supposed to be what you need. It has everything right there. I can't even read that because I don't have my glasses on. So all the vitamins and minerals for Honda. Now I got to jack the front of the car up so we can turn the wheels back and forth before we actually start it. Okay, we got the front wheels off the ground. Now I'm just going to rotate them back and forth. Actually, I better put the top back on this because it has been known to squirt out. I'm not going to start the car. I'm just going to turn the key to unlock the steering wheel, and then it's going to turn the wheels back and forth. So it actually popped the cap off. Figured it might do that, but now where's the cap? Do you guys see where that went? Any idea? Well, if we can't find it, we'll take the cap off the old one. It really didn't take any more. So I think what we'll do is get the other top put on there, and we'll start the car and see if it requires any more fluid. And also we can see if the whine is going away. Well, it didn't seem to help the whine too much. We are going to have to add just a little bit more fluid. If I can figure out what pump I'm supposed to replace that thing with, I am going to replace it, but haven't been able to find one yet. Okay, well, we're up to level. Oh, mercy, it's hot today, and I think I'm going to call it quits for the day. And I'm going to turn it back over to the wife, and she can drive it as she sees fit, ever what she needs. Appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you've not subscribed already. If you didn't enjoy it, it's okay, but you know, be nice. Anyway, just always be kind to one another. Help each other when you can. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you next time.